Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. Race day is back. It feels like we had an off season here. It's been 2 weeks. NBC covers the Olympics, so they had a little bit of an Olympic break. Yeah, that's the longest break other than the off season that we've had, I think, since probably the last Olympics, I would guess, but not 100% there. So, how's everyone doing today? I see a lot of people in chat. Andrew, James, Liz, Mondo, good morning. Awesome to see James in there with Chasey Elliott. Really nice and early. A good 37 minutes before the show starts. That really gets things going, especially today. I mean, it's the Go Bowling at the Glen, back at the Watkins Glen for the first time since 2019. And wouldn't you know it, Chase Elliott has won the last two races in 2018 and 2019 at Watkins Glen. Not only that, he also, if we slide over, I don't have the sheet up right now. I'll slide over and just have a quick look here. Chase Elliott on road courses has also been pretty good. 4 wins and 5 top fives in his last 6 road course races. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, it's going to be a good day. So I'm just going to send out a tweet, share this in chat, wait for a few more people to get in. I'm going to share the sheet. We're going to talk some DraftKings. We're going to talk some FanDuel. We'll talk some PrizePicks plays today. It's been a while. Been waiting for PrizePicks. It's been going pretty good with baseball. Got through the challenge, got some promos. Been a little cold, so I've been playing the flexes a little bit more than the power plays this week over the last couple weeks for baseball. PGA's gone good. I got a nice sweat going today for the full tournament. I did a 2-play power play for $50 on, I think I got Oosthuizen and Berger. And I think I need like a 19th and a 17th out of those two guys. So they're both, I think Oosthuizen's inside the top 10. So things are looking real good there. So I'm going to get some some NASCAR plays for PrizePicks for you here today as well. Like I said, I am just sharing the video here, so just give me a second and I will get things loaded up. Got my kid running the MLB lineups here for half an hour while I do the show. Get you guys up to date on NASCAR. And again, just super excited to be back talking NASCAR. So I'm going to now share that there. I'm going to just share this over in the chat. And for anyone that isn't a Patreon member or a DFSR member, where you can get my content every week, and the sheet that I'm going to share here with all content that I have on the sheet, research tools, that sort of thing, our Discord chat, stuff like that. Go over to patreon.com/Jagerbombs. For $10 a month, you can get access to my NASCAR sheets, Truck Series, Xfinity Series, Cup Series, as well as a Discord chat where I'm in there. If I'm not sleeping, I'm in the Discord chat, answering questions, talking to people, pretty much about anything. We cover, with the addition of CFL, I think we're up to 14 different sports that we're covering right now. And if you play more than 2 sports, or more than 1 sport, actually, you can sign up for the $20 a month package. That's going to get you access to every single sport, all the sheets, all the members-only content. And if you want to come in and try us out, we also have a free trial. So check out in the description of this video below. I will also share it in chat or hit me up on Twitter, wherever. We also have a free trial. You can get into the Discord. We have limited content for the free trials, but we do have screenshots and we do have access to our coaches. And you can start questioning other members and ask them how they like it. Look for some feedback there. So make sure to check out that free trial as well if you're interested in that. All right, without further ado, let's talk about some NASCAR here. Mike, good morning, buddy. How are things going? Okay, so I am going to bring up the sheet. So like I said, already touched on this, Chase Elliott, easily number 1 in my model. That model, by the way, for anyone that is not a Patreon member, someone that is maybe new to the sheets, just checking this out for the first time, the sheet's got your DK data, last 10 races at each track. So this is each driver's last 10 races at this track. And then with some averages, some laps led and stuff like that, career track history, that's just cumulative numbers. Road course history, looking back at the last 2 years and all the road course races, current form, last 5 races, form. Normally here we'd have practice and qualifying, but this season we only have that on the new tracks as well as the playoff finale and Daytona 500 earlier in the year. But qualifying position for each driver, and then qualifying inverse is just a way that I can add some weight to the model on guys that are starting further back in the field. Like Kyle Busch is ranked higher in the qualifying inverse than Chase Elliott because he's starting 20th. He gives you 9 more place differential points. We'll talk about that in a minute. But for the model, then over in this section, all the way from BU, all the way over in this orange stuff here, this is just ranking all that data that we just talked about over to the left, adds up to 100, and that gives us an overall ranking. Not necessarily my favorite plays. I get asked that quite a bit. Why didn't you play so-and-so driver or talk about so-and-so driver? He's ranked really high in your model. That's just a model from the sheet. It points me in a direction, and then I start looking at things a little bit more, and that's when I come up with my core plays. I also, if you're not new to the show and you're on here every week, I talk about these fantasy matrices, say that word, plural, about 10 times. Every single week, and it's what I use. I pretty much base my plays off math, and I'm going to get into that, and you're probably going to think I'm crazy right off the bat today. So we are back for sure. Chris is going to be making some hot takes, so let's get started. A little bit of coffee before it goes cold, because I usually talk too much. I don't get to have any coffee on Sunday during the show. Okay, so yeah, Chase Elliott, number 1 in the model for sure. Rounding out the top 5 in the model, we have Denny Hamlin. He won here. That would be 2017. Top 5s, 4th or better, actually, in 3 of his last 4. So he stands out there a little bit. And then I guess before we start talking, top 5, let's round out the top 5 first. So then you got Truex 3rd. He has finished on the podium, actually on the front row, with a win in 3 straight here. And then we got Kyle Larson, who's been red hot. He kind of fits into the form narrative. Hasn't been great here, but his last 2 trips were top 10s. He's starting 4th today. And then 5th, we have Kurt Busch, who is priced up at 10K. He's starting 17th, but he has been absolutely consistent here. 11th or better in 7 straight, top 10s in 6 of those, top 5s twice, 6th or better 3 times. So he's been very consistent here as well. So that rounds out the top 5 in the model. So playing some narratives here for the rest of the season. We have 4 races left, counting this one, until the playoffs. As you know, if you've been paying attention to the playoff ends, we don't talk about it a lot on the show, but as we get towards the end of the season, there are some narratives. There's going to be some guys that are definitely be pressing, some teams that are probably going to start using some strategy stuff, because Daytona is going to be, I don't even have a word. Let's just say chaos, insanity, being that it's the last race going into the playoffs. Anyone can win that. We know that. Maybe not anyone, but like the field opens up big time at Daytona. So these next 3 races, Watkins Glen, Indy, so 2 road courses in a row, absolutely amazing. I love this new schedule for 2021 and all these road courses, and then Michigan. So these 3 races are going to be huge, with kind of an unknown, I guess you could say, around Daytona. Looking at the standings, this is the playoff ranks. This is over on NASCAR.com. So Hamlin is up there. Doesn't have a win, but he is 4th, with the calculated. He is actually 1st, I believe. Yeah, 1st overall in terms of overall points for this season. But when you start calculating stage wins, race wins, and all those playoff points that they add that come at the end of the season, end of the regular season, Hamlin actually ranks 4th without a win, which is incredible, seeing that Alex Bowman has got 3 under here. So going down the cut line, this is going to be the important part. Kevin Harvick doesn't have a win, but he is 82 points ahead of Austin Dillon right now. That's 4 races that you can lose that pretty fast, having 2 wrecks here right away. Harvick's going to be looking for a miracle at Daytona, so this is going to be important for him to have some solid finishes going into Daytona, so he maybe just has that little bit of a points buffer and doesn't have to worry about it. Where it gets really interesting is Tyler Reddick sitting right here, Austin Dillon. They're with 5 points of each other, very, very close. Both are pretty good at Daytona, so that's not too bad. But again, they're going to want to have some solid races in these next 3. Chris Buescher's not too far behind, but when it comes to Buescher, DiBenedetto, Chastain, Bubba, they're going to need a lot more. They're going to need a win. Ricky, I would even put him in the, these guys can win. All these guys down here can definitely grab a win. We've got 2 road courses, which I think is going to be tough. In the old days, maybe guys would have a chance. They can play some strategy and get some stuff done at the road courses, but Daytona is going to be where these guys, I think, are going to be really pressing hard to fill up that last and final playoff spot. So that race is going to be very interesting to break down from a DFS perspective. But I just want to kind of go over that a little bit to give you a little look at the narratives and stuff like that going into today. So went over the top 5 in the model. Morning, KCC. Thanks for joining the show. I truly appreciate you guys. This is why I came back. Thanks to Dane for covering that very last show. It seems like it was forever ago, but he covered that live show for the very last race. Things have been actually going into the break. We're going pretty solid for me in NASCAR. The top two that I would go with, like my core, I haven't been playing a lot of lineups. I'm doing 20 max today, and I actually, before we get into any more drivers or see any more questions coming in, I wanted to look at some contests on DraftKings and just bring that up. I'm going to go full screen here. It's a little bit easier to see. And a few options. I talked about it, like for baseball and stuff. They put the game style. This is on the desktop. I'm going to bring up my phone actually, because there are some things I've been getting some questions in chat of some things that I talk about a lot in terms of using the desktop that I maybe don't cover on the phone. And I know a lot of you, probably 80% at least, are using your phones for almost everything, like the cheat sheets. And I've been trying more and more with the cheat sheets to, like, especially with color coding, because I know it looks a lot different on desktop than it does on a phone. So I'm just trying to make it as user-friendly as possible. So if you guys see any little things that could be better when using the sheets, when using, anything that I talk about in my shows and my content that you use in your phone that I maybe don't cover and you want me to cover more, just let me know. And I definitely will start throwing that in. I'm just learning this new iPhone 11 or 12 or whatever I have. And I believe I can do a video as well from it, like a screenshot video, kind of like this. So I've got that coming as well, with some kind of like tutorials for the cheat sheets as well. But anyways, digging into some contests here. The big one, the $15 at the top, 100K to first. It's 150 max. I don't play those contests. I don't like putting it I did for the Millie Maker for golf this year. A little bit different scenario, but on a weekly basis, I'm generally avoiding these 150 maxes if I'm not playing 150 lineups. It's just, if you're building a core of, say, 4 drivers and you run that, say, 5 times, interchanging the final 2 pieces with your 4-driver core, there's going to be multiple people, probably 20 or more people, that have probably that same core, but like 50. So it just ends up to splitting a lot, unless you're being super, super contrarian with maybe you have a single entry that's super contrarian. It's not going to be duplicated very much, if at all. If that's the case, I don't mind putting a few in that big contest, because if that contrarian lineup ends up going off, you're not going to be splitting with people, and then you don't need to cover the chalk. Let's just say the chalk, the high owned drivers, you don't need to cover them 50 times to cover what the field's going to have on those same chalk drivers. If you're using like 3 or more contrarian drivers that are maybe projected for 5 to 10% ownership, I don't mind throwing a couple lineups in those 150 maxes. But if it's a chalk lineup like Chase Elliott, Martin Truex core today, if you're not playing 25 to 50 variations of that core, 2 drivers, those are going to be 2 of the highest owned drivers for sure. I talked about how good they've been here at Watkins Glen, how good they've been. I mean, Truex hasn't been great lately overall, but they're both really good on road courses. You can definitely go there. Top 3 drivers for PrizePicks. I'm going to touch on PrizePicks after I talk about these DraftKings and go over a couple plays here. I do have PrizePicks loaded up here at the top. I will go over that here shortly. We don't on PrizePicks today with that scoring 0.01 points for a lap led on a road course. I don't look at that at all. I'm only looking at the fantasy score, and I'm actually going to be inquiring with them to see if they can change their format. It's just, I want it more like the PGA full event, where you're going over under finish position. That's what I want for NASCAR. This 0.01 points for laps led, plus the fantasy score that you got to try and figure out. It just would make it a lot faster to build lineups and especially discuss on shows if they did that. But moving on here, I will get back to PrizePicks shortly, and it's going to tie into what I'm going to talk about here on the sheet. So first of all, at the top, we'll bring my pretty face back here, the background, because I have a hot take right off the bat. Obviously, Chase Elliott's my number 1. I'm going to have a lot of exposure. He's starting 11th. He's won the last 2 races here. Going over on the matrix, though, however, Kyle Busch is my number 2. Not being a homer here. I'm kind of being a homer here. Let's just, but not completely. Hear me out. What I did this week is I added a column. We've got points for 4X, 5X, 6X, and I'm actually going to load Line Star. I shared it in chat last night, but I'm just going to bring that up actually. And I will bring this over to here. So here is the perfect lineup from 2019. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. I'll discuss it here quickly. It's Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Eric Jones, DeBenedetto, and David Reagan. And it was 316 points. So that worked out to about 6.3x, I believe. I'll get that out of the way now here. So that's to win the GPP. So I think to win, we're going to need like around 6x, but to cash comfortably in GPPs today, I think 5x is fine, but 6x you're going to need from a few drivers. You're going to obviously get 4 from some, and generally when you start going down the board, 4x I will take from some of these cheap guys, and I'm going to talk about a few that I really like today. I'm going to have probably a very small player pool overall. And probably just do like 3 max, maybe even 20 max with a very, very small player pool today, which is very risky. But if my core goes off, I'm obviously going to look really good in that 20 max. So what I wanted to look at was how many drivers in the top tier, especially, these are the guys that we're paying up for spending the most salary on. How many of these guys without Dominator points can give us 6x? So that's where this Kyle Busch over Truex came in. With a win, Truex is only giving us 5.1x. That's what this column G is here. A win without no Dominator points gets you what value on DraftKings? So Kyle Busch with a win, and that's not, he's been very, very good lately, 5.9x. Elliott with a win, no Dominator points. I don't think that's going to be the case. He's obviously the best out here, but this is just a practice I've been doing this week to see, to kind of look at the floor. I guess it's going to give you more of a look at who's a good floor play because they don't need Dominator points to hit their, the projections that we're looking at. So Kyle Busch is 1, and then you got Elliott and Truex 5. Kyle Larson with a win and no Dominator points doesn't even give you 5x. Kurt Busch and Byron are the only 2 other guys outside of Bowman, who's down here in the mid 8Ks, but I'm mostly looking at like 9K and up, are the only 3 drivers. I know Kyle's 5.9, but that's 6. Only 3 drivers that can give you 6x return winning the race without any Dominator points. So that's why I like Busch over Truex. Busch has also been better lately. I know Truex has finished second, first here. Kyle has not been that bad either. It may not look as good in the recent form with an 11th in 2019, a 3rd, 7th, 6th, but he has won here. He's got multiple top 5s, a ton of top 10s. The price difference is not that much, and him starting 20th is what's really the kicker for me, and that's where the DK Fantasy Matrix comes in, and that is why I like that. Yeah, no, PrizePicks is definitely based on finishing position. It's just fantasy score tied to that, and I talk about that lots here. Like, here is your first place is 40 points, so it is tied to the over under. But I just wish they would just change it to over under 8.5 finishing position. So under he's going to finish 8th or better. Just save a little bit of time. This is just some things that I've been asked a lot in my chats. It's just some things that I've been talking about a lot. Yeah, I don't look at laps led only on like the short courses where you think a guy's going to at least lead. You're going to get 2 guys that are going to lead 100 plus laps. That makes kind of a little bit of a difference, but generally not a whole bunch. But especially on these road courses, like there's only 90 laps today, so I don't really look at that whatsoever. It's not going to really make up. A guy would have to dominate the whole entire race to even make like a 1 to 2 point differential. So yeah, no, not really looking at it. I just meant that I'd like to see, instead of 37.5 points, which I know that where that is in the finishing position, because I got that here, 37.5 means obviously he needs a 3rd or better. I just wish it was over under 3.5, where you'd say under he's going to finish top 3, over he's going to finish 4th or worse. Just to add that one step, trying to convert the fantasy points to finishing position. That's the only thing. I'm also building that in. Probably by the time I have that built into the sheet, they are going to possibly convert that over. I know that was a big thing. They were asked a lot in terms of PGA, and they went the other direction and kind of simplified it a little bit. So that's all I meant with PrizePicks. So I do like Kyle better. I'm going to have exposure to all 3 of these top drivers. Elliott probably number 1. I think he can get that Dominator points in there as well. And when we look at Dominator points, just looking at the track history, these guys highlighted in orange on the 2019. This is going back to that Line Star perfect lineup. These are the guys that were in that. As you can see, in that perfect lineup, we had 4 drivers start outside 14th. So while we see a very high correlation to start to finish, the perfect lineups, the optimal lineups, are going to see some probably 3 or 4 drivers with place differential in there just because there's so many in this top tier this week that are good road course racers, like Chase Elliott with 11th. That just makes him, he's going to be the highest owned. I'm pretty positive, but he is one of the few drivers that I think can get you those place differential points and some dominator points as well. So going back here and looking kind of, Elliott dominated from the pole, not on the pole today, so I don't see him getting in that 80 range. But generally we see like two drivers over 20 to 50 laps kind of thing. So him starting in that 9th or 11th position, it's probably going to take some time to get up front. I'm think it's fine putting him in like the 20 lap sled. Probably let's just give him 5 fast laps. That puts him in that win now gives him 6x range. But for him to get the same amount of points, him and Kyle in comparison, he needs the dominator points. Kyle doesn't need the dominator points. That's where I think I do like Kyle a little bit more, just because you get more access to upside with Kyle, because I think Kyle could come on late and lead. If he even just came on and led 5 laps, say he had 2 fast laps, he's now 66. Now you're over 6x, so he doesn't need a lot of dominator points to outperform these guys in terms of fantasy points. Pick to win the race is Elliott, hands down. I'm not going to go away from that. He's won 2 in a row here. I'm just talking fantasy points and calculating the value that you need to win. Now we can talk early dominators. Just reading some questions here. Thoughts on Austin Dillon over Custer to matchup bet? Yeah, I will look at that here as I go down the board. Custer. Yeah, let me just get through this fantasy matrix here. So I want to talk about early dominators here real quick, because when we do see these lap sled, we usually see the guys at the pole position. Elliott obviously dominated, led 80. In 2018, we had Denny Hamlin. He led only 2 early on and then fell back, didn't have a great race. Kyle Busch led 22. Oh, that's fast laps, sorry. 21 laps led, 20. He had a fast car there. Should have finished a little better in first that race back in 2017, but led 20 early on. We had 3 drivers lead 20 or more, starting first, third, and 8th there. So I'm looking for an early dominator. I think he can lead. And it's kind of interesting this week because sitting 1, 2, 3 is Penske, Keselowski, Logano, and Blaney. So it's interesting. I think it's going to come from the front row. So it's down to Logano and Keselowski. And I kind of hummed and hawed and went over it. And I think Logano's been worse here lately, like really bad outside the top 20, 2019, 18, and 17. Keselowski's been better, not a whole lot better. So I wanted to go look at road course history just this year. I've got it sorted by, let's go average finish. I have to drop this down. Elliott, Logano number 2, coming off of 15th at Road America, but he was 4th, 3rd, and 2nd at the other one. So top 5s in all 3. In terms of lap sled, he hasn't started. Well, he started 6th here and ended up leading 14 laps in that race. So I like, that puts you on Logano a little bit, but I think Keselowski also has a chance. I like that he's starting first going into that 90 degree, the very first corner. And that is, I wanted to bring that up for anyone that is maybe new here. New to this, 11 turns. First turn, just chaos, especially after 2 weeks. These guys are going to be aggressive going into this 90 degree here. And then the bus stop on the back, going into the boot. I just love the names here at Watkins Glen. You got the laces and the toe and the heel of the boot back around. So that's a full lap there. So it's going to be very interesting to see this opening lap. These restarts are always pretty insane here. So I think Keselowski has the advantage starting on the pole. So I would probably go with him. I wouldn't blame you if you go either. And if you're mixing in, let's say you go with Elliott as your number 1 and you want an early dominator with Elliott, who's probably going to be the mid to late race dominator / odds-on favorite to win the race. You want to mix him with someone that's going to lead early and you think it's going to be the front row as well. A good strategy if you're playing 20 max is if you go 5 lineups with Logano and Elliott and 5 with Elliott and Keselowski, you kind of cover both bases there while keeping your favorite driver in those cores. You've now got 10 lineups. And if that early dominator does come from one of those 2 positions, that's good. I don't think they're going to be, I don't think Logano and Keselowski are maybe good to have together. I don't think both of them can dominate this race. And as you can see, a win without dominator points is 5x and a win without dominator points is less than 5x for Logano. So if you don't think Logano's going to lead, I don't even want him in my lineup. If he leads the last lap, he's not even going to get 5x return on your money. So I do like Keselowski a little bit more. So if I was doing that 10 lineup strategy with Elliott as the mid to late race dominator and race winner, and then one of the early dominators, I like Keselowski. One, he's $600 cheaper. He's starting on the pole, has that control, a little more access to upside. If he doesn't get the full dominator points in there, you get close. You can still get close to that 5x. So if we put him at 20, and yeah, that he needs 20 laps led, 10 fast laps will give him that just over 6x return if he does that. So I like Keselowski, and if I was building that route, I would probably go Elliott Keselowski in 6, and then Elliott Logano in 4 if you're doing that 10 lineups with that core. I'd probably even closer to 7 and 3, 70-30 on that split. So that's kind of how I feel with the early dominator versus late dominator. I like Kyle a little bit more than Truex, but I'm going to have I'm probably going to have more Kyle and Elliott than Truex, but I'm probably going to have field average with Truex, maybe a little bit underweight, just because he needs a lot more to happen for him. And he just, the form just hasn't really been that great for him. Only 2 top 10s in the last 5 races. He's finishing top 20, but usually we see a bunch of top 5s out of him here. As you can see, Kyle's been red hot, 4 top 5s in his last 5 races. So that kind of ties into that. So I'm going to answer some questions here now. Thoughts on betting Austin Dillon over Colt Custer? So let's have a look at those two here. Custer and Dillon. So let's first look at their track history. Custer, no races here. Dillon, not great. So let's go look at road courses this year and see if we can find them here. Yeah, they're pretty close here as well. Dillon's only got 5 races on the road courses. 11th at Road America versus 17th, 13th versus 20th, 12th versus 36th. So Dillon crashed here. We had a crash here, 13th, 12th. So that's kind of a wash. So looking at the last 2, Road America and Sonoma, Dillon definitely has the advantage here. He's got better. It's pretty close in terms of average run, a spot or 2, but he's just getting that better finish and better. We're not talking fantasy, but better fantasy return here as well. So for me, it's slightly Dillon. Chase and Kurt. Yeah, Kurt Busch is another one I didn't talk about here. I mentioned him in terms of he can win the race and still get you 6x without dominator points. So I definitely like that. But look at his consistency. And that floor, that safety with Kurt Busch comes with him starting 17th. He's got, like I said, 11th or better in 7 straight here. So even just looking at, 5x, I think 5x is going to be very, very comfortable for cash games for sure. 5x is going to be fine. We only need a 6th place finish out of him. That seems like a very good floor for him. And looking at his form coming into this race as well, he's got one of the best average finishes right up there, 9.4, even better average run in those races as well. So he's just been great. Kurt has been excellent. So he would be right up there, a core play as well after, I don't mind pairing 2 of these 10K and up. Generally, I'm probably going to try and go 1 10K and then down into the 9K range, like I said, with an early dominator. But I think a chalk build that we're going to see today is definitely going to be Elliott and Busch, or just a double Busch lineup in there as well. Starting 19th and 20th gets you top 5 winning upside with both drivers, plus elite place differential value as well. So there's a lot of ways to build lineups, and just looking at where this place differential falls, I think there's going to be some ownership gaps in this, let's say mid 8K, all the way up to Joey Logano here starting second. So from Harvick up to Logano, I think there's some excellent GPP opportunities. These guys are going to be lower owned because you're going to see a lot of ownership at this place differential, and it makes complete sense simply because of math, just because of access to upside with those guys should things go right. So I don't mind a Denny Hamlin. I think Denny Hamlin's going to come in cheap here. Like I said, top 5s in 3 of his last 4, but he's starting 6, so he needs a lot to go right as well. He would be like a contrarian lap leader for me that would go in there. So I definitely don't mind that as well. Thanks, JP. Yeah, make sure to smash up that like button on the video. It really helps things out. Yeah, they don't use the booth. Sorry, that picture is from the IndyCar, I believe. I just tried to pull up a picture and grab that one. Okay. Elliott could break the record this year if he wins the rest of the road course races, and that's totally doable. He just even the ones where he didn't look great early on, he just comes on strong at the end. Their strategy, the way he manages the brakes, just everything all put together, and it's just been something to watch him on road courses. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll back here, make sure I didn't miss anything. Austin Dillon over Custer. Yep, I'm Dillon for sure there. Chase and Kurt, yep, talked about both of those. Think about Suarez. Okay, so coming into this value range, Suarez starting for 21st, completely fine. I'm fine with that starting position. As you can see, he's been decent here as well. Two top fives in 2017 and 2018, 17th in 2019, starting 21st. So I will go over. We'll look at him here. We're looking, at down in this range. I'm okay with a 4x floor, so I will look at that. First of all, that gives us a 17th place finish. That is his career high here. So that doesn't give him a lot of upside. So there's a couple other places I'm going in terms of value over him. Obviously, Eric Jones is cheaper. I'll be going and looking at Eric Jones a little bit. I know it's $500, quite a bit. He gives you that one extra place differential. He's in I'm going to say slightly better equipment. I've got him as a better driver. And for 5X, he needs 35 points, and that's a 15th place finish. So a 15th place finish gets Eric Jones 5X return, while a 17th place finish only gets you a 4X return. Just makes me feel a lot better about Jones. I think Suarez is going to be super low owned. He needs a lot to go right for him to outperform Jones. So myself, I'm on Jones, and then a couple other guys that I like down here. Corey LaJoie at 5,800 and Anthony Alfredo at 5,600. Starting 29th and 31st. To give you some place differential value, you're looking for about 22, 23 points out of them. Going over and looking at that, we're looking at about a 24th, 25th place finish. I don't think that's, I think they even give us access of, 5X, 28 to 29 points. That puts us kind of in, they still don't even need a top 20 to give us 5X return. And if they start scratching that, 18th to 20th, if things really return, if we can get that kind of return out of guys that are under 6K on DraftKings, we can really stack two of these top guys quite easily. It's probably going to be a chalky way to go if you're going Elliott and Busch, grabbing Eric Jones and, LaJoie and Alfredo, running all three of them together could definitely work. I'm going to jump in a contest here and just see. I'm going to be playing the $4 Chrome Horn. So let's first of all throw those values in and see what it leaves us left. We'll go Jones, the ones that we talked about, and Alfredo. Dane would be proud. I'm talking about Alfredo, so I don't know if he's watching, but Dane, Alfredo, this is for you today. We throw Elliott in there. We're still left with 10-5. So, I mean, you can go Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch. So there's a lineup right there going with those three. Very, very easy. That tells me there's going to be some chalk for sure. Those guys are probably going to be chalk. So I really went through this value range a ton. Going back to LaJoie and Alfredo here quick before maybe looking at a few others. It's not great. I mean, Alfredo, those has no history here. LaJoie's finished 33rd and 34th. That was, again, 2 years ago and 3 years ago. So I wanted to come look at some road course history with those guys. Just kind of see what they've done here recently. I like what I see. LaJoie, 21st, started 23rd, started 22nd at Sonoma, 18th, started 25th at Coda, finished 20th. So his last three were good. Got in a crash. I believe he was in a crash. Maybe just didn't run good at Daytona Road Course. But the last three, he's finished better than his starting position in each race. He's given us 28, 29, and 23 DK points. We will take that, as we can see over here. We will take that as a floor. And then he can give us some upside as well. Going and looking at Alfredo now. Not as good. So he has kind of had two good road course races and two bad ones. Unfortunately, the two bad ones were the last two. So I think LaJoie is probably going to be one of people are just kind of looking at that, as well as he's got no history here at Watkins Glen in a cup car. So crash in that last one. Actually, no, he was running at Road America. It was not a crash, just a bad race. 31st here, lost a few spots. The good news at Sonoma was he was running 24th average finish, just didn't finish strong. So that's a little bit positive there. Looking at Circuit of Americas, he started I think there was only 37 cars in that field. So started at the back, finished 18th. That was awesome. Average run of 22nd. So he moved up quick and pretty much stayed there right outside that top 20 all day. Ended up with a nice finish at the end. Put up 44 DK points. Put up 29 at Daytona Road, started 31st, finished 22nd. But that gives us a 5x return in there. So I do like Alfredo, probably myself, a little bit more than LaJoie. It's a little bit more risky, as we've seen. Like I said, he's had 2 good races on road, 2 bad ones, whereas LaJoie has been more consistent in his last 3 coming in. So that's kind of the way I'm breaking down the value range down there with my favorites today. So I'm going to have probably, I think what you could do with your value plays, if you wanted to, just make sure that you get, if you're a person that wants to mix in 5 top tier guys, or have it, you're in your player pool, you've got more guys than usual in your top tier, I don't mind. It's more risky for sure, because there's always more risk with these guys down in this range. But you could run Alfredo, LaJoie, and Jones, say 10 times, and then 2 times with an Elliott, Kyle Busch core, 2 times with you could just keep mixing and matching all these top guys together. It's risky because obviously there's a lot of risk in these bottom guys. But if all 3 of these value plays do come through, you've now got a lot of exposure, and you've got so much exposure to all the other drivers as well. I don't think I would go that route. I'm probably only going to run the 3 of them together about 5 times in my 20 max, and then just kind of mix and match with 2 of them, or even 1 of them if I want to. I think the way to get away from some of the chalk today would only be run like 1 of them. And like I said, you can get away from some of the chalk by building up here as well in this mid 8K to mid 9K range. A lot of the ownership, I believe, is going to come with Elliott, Busch, Truex, Kurt Busch. Byron's probably going to be the lowest of those guys, but he's going to be up there as well. These guys starting up front need a lot to go right. Brad Keselowski, I talked about him. I do like Keselowski, mixing him in with Elliott. Like I said, I think what I want to do with my build is try and get a early dominator. And I know we don't usually look for dominators at road courses, but we've seen at Watkins Glen, the guy that starts out early has led 15 to 20 laps consistently, sometimes dominate. I don't think Brad's going to dominate. Chase has been too good. Truex has been too good, coming from just outside the top 10 for Elliott and just inside the top 10 for Truex. Kyle's been really good. He's been good here. So Keselowski's going to have to face a lot of guys. I know Keselowski's got back-to-back runner-ups here way back in the day, but he just hasn't shown that. But I do like him as an early dominator. So I do like mixing in an early dominator with Elliott, who I believe is going to be the mid to late dominator in there. So you can build that way. If you want to get off of that, Blaney starting on the second row, Hamlin back there as well in the third row. These guys can come up and lead. If something goes wrong for one of these, Logano, Blaney, don't get a great restart, Keselowski, these guys can move up, early on and lead some laps as well. So their chances of doing it are less, obviously, but it's there. They're going to be super low owned, so you can definitely build there. I don't think I'm going to be going that way a whole bunch, but some road course racers that are up there that should be low owned, like talk about Logano, obviously. Alex Bowman's been really good on road courses before this last one, top 10s in 3 straight. Going and looking at Bowman, he's starting 10th, so he would need a career day here at this, and a career day this season on road courses, I think, to kind of tap into his upside potential. But he's going to be super low owned, I believe. Scroll over here. He wins the race. He's already given you over 6x. If he leads some laps in there, he's got potential of 7. So I really, really like that. The fact that he's going to be possibly low owned, along with huge upside if he wins the race. I mean, not that I think he's going to win the race. The odds aren't great. Even a top 5 in here with Bowman, a 6th place finish almost gets him 5x. He's going to get a fast lap in there, maybe a couple, possibly, maybe even 1 lap led, possibly if that comes. But 5x is in there with a top 6 finish. So I think a 5x return on a guy that's maybe going to be sub 10% or half to 60% less ownership than some of these other guys in this range is a way you can go and build contrarian lineups today, because this place differential is definitely going to drive that. Okay, KCC. I'm going to try and bring these questions up one by one here. If you're only playing 3 max, do I play a variety? The way I play 3 max is I really make a stand on my core. So I really like Kyle Busch today. I talked about him not needing dominator points to hit 6x return. He's been red hot lately. So let's just say I go Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch is going to be my core today. I love the place differential. They both got top 5 and winning potential upside. If I'm doing that, I'm probably running them. Depending how I feel during the day, I might run them in all 3 of my 3 max, and then pick out one other driver who, let's just say Briscoe or Eric Jones, and Eric Jones in 2 of those lineups, and then maybe another driver in 2 of those lineups, only overlapping Jones once. But generally, I'm going to run and make my stand on 2 or 3 drivers. If I can make my stand on 2 or 3 drivers, I want to run them in all 3. If I feel super confident about those 3 drivers, I want to run them in all 3. But if you want to reduce the risk a little bit, take that 2-driver core or make a 3-driver core or a 4-driver core and run them in two with those 2 drivers left. If it's a 4-driver core, just make sure they're different. And then your third one, because there's a lot of variance at NASCAR, if you just want to go a little bit, super contrarian with that third one, you can go that route too, and do something that people won't be doing. Try and get 3 drivers that you think are going to be super low owned. So when things go crazy, and they do almost every week, multiple times, you'll be covered and you'll have a shot at winning still. If things get crazy. So if things go crazy early, your day isn't done. So it just depends on your risk level, to be honest. Same with 20 max. If you want to go with a lot of risk, build a 4-driver core, run it 12 times, or as many times as you can, mixing in those other 2 drivers until you run out of drivers that are in your player pool that you can mix in with those 4 drivers, then switch it up. I don't necessarily just say going into the week that I'm going to build 12 lineups around my 4-driver core and keep that every single week. It all depends what my 4-driver core is. It all depends how many value plays are in there. It all depends how many of my core are actual value plays. So it changes every week. And once I nail that down, then I go and build. Because if you try and follow the same model each and every week, the track is different every week. The prices of the drivers are different every week. The starting positions are different every week. So we have to change our strategies each and every week as well. All right, so I am going to move on to Preece. Okay, Matt, thanks for joining. Jump down here. We will look at Preece. First of all, he started in 23rd. That makes me shy away right away. He's finished 36th here in 2019 in his only race at Watkins Glen. I don't like that at all. Let's go look at his form. Another thing that I look at, I'll just slide over and look at all the tabs here. So he's got an average finish of 20.3. Over 6 races on road courses, so that's good to see. Sliding over a little bit more, his current form is almost identical average finish to where he starts on the season, about the same. Now I wanted to go look at his road course history this season. Crashed at Road America, 21st, 15th. You know what? You could definitely throw him in. He's probably going to be a little bit lower owned, I think, than Alfredo and LaJoie, because he's starting 23rd. He needs a lot more to go right. Obviously, losing a minimum of 6 place differential to LaJoie and 8 to Alfredo. But that's a nice pivot if you want to get off of LaJoie and Alfredo. You know, that's something that I will do. Is I will find my value plays are the ones that I find once I'm building, I get too much exposure to. And then I try and find my pivots from there. And it happens almost every week. Not as much anymore, because the way I build my player pools now. But he would definitely be one that fits in nicely into a pivot. And it's probably going to be a little bit lower owned. So I'm with you there. Nice call. Chase is going to the back or failed inspection 2 times. Yeah, I don't have my chat news up here for. I'll just go here and have a look and see what I can find. Where are you seeing that? I'm just looking at Bob Pockers's news feed here, and I'm not seeing it. So I will confirm that here in a bit. If you've got the link to Twitter or whatever, please share it in chat. I don't think 2 inspections sends you there. I thought it was 3. Maybe that is when they get their crew chief thrown out. But either way, I will be looking at that and posting. I don't see any news. Like I said, I follow the NASCAR news on Bob's Twitter. I've got it in the Discord chat set up. I'm going to go over to Twitter. I'm just loading that up here right now. Show's going a little bit longer, but I've got a few more things I want to cover here. Very important, that we are back here first time in 2 weeks. So a little excited, going a little bit slower, going over things extensively. So I'm just looking at his competition caution at lap 10, 5 sets of tires. Tech is Sunday morning. That was 4 hours ago. He posted that. I'm not seeing anything on Elliott here yet. He picked Chase Elliott to win 3 hours ago. So some of these updates from Bob are a few hours ago. So definitely could happen. I don't have quite the time here on the show to scroll all the way through Twitter and look, but I will definitely confirm that and post that in the chat for you guys, as well as share it on Twitter. I'm going to go over a few more questions here. I'm going to jump into top 3 PrizePicks plays as well. Waiting on FanDuel, Elliott, Busch, Jones, Dillon only get to play one lineup in the league. DFSR subscriber. Thanks, Mike. So on FanDuel, Kyle Busch for sure is my number one driver, 2,000 less than Elliott with that place differential. That makes it easy on FanDuel that he is 2,000 less. So that's probably the way I would go start my lineups. And if you built a Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch core at 12.5 and 10.5, you can almost go a very balanced lineup without having to go down and dig into this risky value range. Because on FanDuel, your place differential is worth half as much. So finishing position is worth more. Where a driver actually finishes, it's more important on FanDuel. So seeing Kyle at 12.5, Kurt Busch at 10.5, they both, like I said, I think they're pretty safe. 5th to 10th is kind of their floor for both of them. And their price differential is definitely there. You could, with their prices, you could also throw in Chase Elliott if you want to go superstars and scrubs on FanDuel, and then come down and fit like Eric Jones at 5,500. He would fit into that build for sure. Fit in 3 of those top guys in. That's probably what I would do because I do like Eric Jones. That price just seems a little bit ridiculous. So over on FanDuel. So that would be my core right there. Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, Chase Elliott, depending on where we see. And then Eric Jones, 5,500 going in there. So I don't have the confirmation or anything up here, but if that is the case, Kay, is he still in play? Let's go look at this on the matrix. This is what's important. Like I said, going back to, I'm going to take his dominator points off. If he wins the race and doesn't get any dominator points, which starting from the rear at a road course race with only 90 laps, I don't think he would get to the lead until the final stage. They're going to have to run some strategy in there as well. He only gives you 5.2x if he comes and wins. Will that work? It can definitely work, but you're going to need some 6x guys to win a GPP. It could definitely work for cash. I maybe wouldn't be. It makes me like for GPP, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex, Kurt Busch, the guys that I talked about liking in my core. It makes me like them a lot more. It makes me like Keselowski a little bit more. Maybe he can keep the lead a little bit longer if he is the early dominator, and Chase was going to be the one that was going to take over for the lap sled. If that's the game script that you're following today, that maybe Keselowski was going to lead 20, 25, 30 laps, and then Chase was going to come on and he was going to lead after, say, a caution or end of a stage, and Chase was going to take over. I now like Keselowski better if that's your narrative. I like Kyle Busch a lot more. He's definitely my number one DFS play today. If Elliott does go to the rear, there is a ton of risk. If we go look at, I don't know, just wanted to see if Elliott has come from the rear here. Nope. We'll go look at his road courses. Road America, he came back 34th and won the race. He ended up actually leading 24th at the end. So it's definitely there. He's the best road course racer there is. The risk is just amplified now. So it really comes down to your risk tolerance, I guess you could say. Let's see if there's any other ones in here where he started further back. So no, we've only got going back to, I've got this actually going back to 2019. Started 19th at Charlotte Road in 2019, but generally he started near the front. So we only really have that one race sample size. It happens to be the most recent road course where he started near their back, won the race, averaged 7th. So he made it up there fairly quick. He motored through the field. Could he do it today? Most definitely he could do it today. It just amplifies the risk a little bit as well. Let's just say for lap sled, he comes on, leads the last 10. Then we still can't get 6x, but we get close. If he does what he did and leads 24 laps, let's just say even 20, again, he's giving you that 6x return. But he's lowered in my model. I will still have some, but he's going to be down quite a bit. If I was going to have, he was going to be in my range of 20 max. Let's say I was going to do, 50% exposure is going to put him at 10 lineups. I'm probably going to be down now about, I'm probably going to 5 or 6 lineups for him now from 10. So I'm going to drop it a little bit. I'm not going to have as much exposure just because the risk is up there. But again, he can most definitely come forward. And if he was starting 5th or better and going to the rear, that would affect that a lot more. I would probably just full fade and just play that risk a little bit. But the fact that he's starting 11th and he still can win and give you that 10 place differential points on DraftKings, it's only 5 points on FanDuel. So I'm especially off on FanDuel, but on DraftKings with that price, I'm not completely off. All right, I'm not sure if I missed anyone's questions. Throw them up again. I have scrolled back and seen a few. I am going to close things out here. We are getting about the 50-minute mark of the show. I'm going to jump over to PrizePicks here real quick and talk about that. A couple plays that I do like here today. Just give me a second. All right, so Elliott, I'm not sure about now. Before he needed a second or better to hit the over. Now starting at the rear adds a lot more risk. So I'm probably just going to stay away from that one. Kyle Busch, I like. He needs a top 5. I'm not sure what his top 5 odds are. I'm going to bring that up here real quick just to kind of see where we sit because of that number. Denny Hamlin would need a top 5, but I do like Busch a little bit better in that case. I'm going to bring up top 5 finish odds. Kyle Busch plus 105. So like even money, him and Truex as well. Truex needs a 4th or better, obviously, but seeing Kyle Busch at plus 105, needing a top 5, love the over on Kyle Busch today. Going down and checking out some of these other guys. Keselowski, 27 points. We need him for a 14th would be a push, 13th or better for Keselowski. And I kind of wanted to compare. Yeah, so 13th or better, that looks pretty good. So I do like the Keselowski pick here as well with the over. He fits in there. So I like the overs on both of those guys. Kurt Busch is at 31. That is a 10th place finish would be a push for him. Don't mind that as well. Let's go down a little bit, see what we got kind of. Okay, Chris Buescher is interesting. Didn't talk about him. I do like Buescher today. He's finished 13th, 20th, and 11th here, starting 24th. So I like him for DFS 6,800 even on FanDuel. I like, but Buescher 23 points is an 18th place finish. I definitely like Buescher. He's been having a pretty good season overall. Average finish has only been 20th, so it's a little bit risky. But again, let's go look at his road courses. Average finish of 13.8 over his last 6. And 18th, 16th, 13th, and 11th this year in road courses. So Buescher I like in there as well. I'm probably only going to be running like 2-play power play, a couple 2-play power plays, and a 3-play flex today. But those are 3 of the picks I'm looking. And then for betting purposes, this is over on CoolBet. I don't get top 5, top 10. The top 5, top 10 stuff I was looking at was Bet365. I don't have money on there today. But I'm going to be looking at some outrights. Obviously, Elliott's the favorite. I haven't refreshed to see if that's changed due to him going to the rear. And again, I haven't seen it. I totally trust you guys in chat posting it. So I'm going to assume that he's going to the rear here. Just hit refresh and see if it actually did refresh his odds. They're usually pretty slow in returning this. If they did not, there's definitely going to, yeah, no, I got to search it again. Give me just a second. Nope, same odds. Larson is number 2. I don't like. I don't see Larson winning here. He might. I mean, he's having a tremendous season. But generally, I like Kyle Busch plus 750. I do like that number. Keselowski 2,500. I think he could win here for sure. So those are a couple. Definitely one deep in the field, one up. Hamlin could get his first win here today. He has won here before. Talked about him. He's number 2 in the model. Good on road courses. Top 5 in 3 of his last 4, including that win. He's been, I would say, the most consistent driver all season. He leads all drivers. He's tied with Larson in top 5s and top 10s, even though he doesn't have a win. Kevin Harvick is right there as well in terms of consistency with top 10 finishes without a win. So the Hamlin-Harvick season has just been bizarre with no wins, but seeing them just super consistent. So Hamlin could definitely get the win. I would like probably a little bit better odds than plus 1,100 for a guy that hasn't won this season. but I'm okay. I'd rather take Kyle Busch here, like I said, and Keselowski. Those are two that I definitely like. Truex, if you feel he gets back on track and he wins, plus 600 is a good number for him. Finishing second, and first in his last three races here, and then going at road courses overall. As we know, he's been very good. It's good to see after a 12th and a 35th in the first two road courses this season, he's come back with back-to-back top 10s, including the third at Sonoma as well. So again, I also think, and I did not mention this, there's honestly code are there in terms of comp tracks. I'm looking at road courses. They're all different. That's the thing with these road courses, is they all are different. Guys are a lot more trained. There isn't really your road course ringers like we used to see, guys that maybe didn't do them as much because there only was Watkins Glen and Sonoma. Well, now we've got Road America, we've got COTA, we've got Daytona road course, we've got Circuit of America. So I'm just looking at guys that are consistent on road courses, all of them, all of the road courses. This week specifically, I think you can also look at the narrative of the veteran guys looking at possibly some road course history at Watkins Glen. That's Chase Elliott's won twice, Martin Truex, second, first in his last three races here. Some of these guys haven't raced here or very much. It's been 2 years since they've raced here on this track. And again, like I said, they're all different. Like this one is the bus stop, the 90-degree coming out of the gate. They're all a little bit different. So that makes me like Truex a little bit better. So liking his number at plus 600, especially if Elliott goes third, that just helps him a little bit more be able to get up front and get ahead of Elliott, and then obviously stay in there, because once Elliott gets in front of you at a road course race, there is usually no looking back. Usually everyone is sitting in his rear view once he gets out front. So it'll be very important for these guys to get out front and stay there. So those are some bets. Those are some PrizePicks plays. Those are some DraftKings and FanDuel strategies in place for today. Car 19 for the win. I like that lane. Thanks for joining in the show, everyone. I truly appreciate it. We had a pretty good show today. We were up in like the 40 people range. So make sure to like the video. If you got any more questions, hit me up. You can comment in the video below once we're done here as well. Once the replay is up, you can rewatch it if you want. You can hit me up on Twitter at Jaeger_bombs9. You can hit me up in DFSR chat. You can also hit me up over on our Discord for patreon.com/JaegerBombs. Our Discord is open. Like I said, you can come in and check out free trial and chat with us. Or $10 a month gets you the NASCAR package. $20 a month gets you the All Sports package. And you'll get access to all the channels and chat there. Thanks for joining me. Let's go make some lineups and get some green screens today. Good luck, everyone.